does it curve, the water always finds its level.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat all she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. Couldn't do it.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
Welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B., and of course, Just Jack Flat Earth. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to episode, what are we at? 47, 48, something like that? 47.
Yeah, 47.
And we are in Exodus.
Chapter 10. Yep. All right. I have everything set up now, and we could, you usually share your screen with me, though.
Oh, yeah.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
My bad.
All right, so we're watching. FYI, we're live on both Unveiling This Realm and Karen B for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to say, which chat would be better to use, but it's kind of spread. We got a few people in each of them, so
Yeah. Sorry about
feel
that.
feel free to discuss amongst yourselves where you want to correlate.
Yeah.
all the
I mean,
chat.
we'll check both of the chats too
Yeah.
later to look for questions, so don't worry
sure.
about that.
For sure.
Because we do have all the chats up. But I am streaming on both channels, trying to see if we can get more people to join us for the anti-religious scripture study. If you are just joining us for the first time, on my main YouTube channel, we have been typically streaming this on the Unveiling This Realm channel, which is my backup channel. And I did post the link to the playlist. It's all of the old videos, all of the originals from number 1 all the way up to this one will be in that playlist on that channel if you want to catch up.
Groovy.
Alrighty.
I mean, one of the the first thing that I saw in chat today was by Rethink Inc. And he was asking about the 4th of July. And just to give my opinion, and this is definitely just Jack's opinion, it's just like, is it better to be in this prison or this maximum security prison, right? In both cases, you're still in prison. It's just like, which is the better candidate when, it's all, you don't really have a choice. You kind of have to be stuck with the best of two evils, or whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as like freedom goes, yeah, this is probably the most easygoing prison out of all the countries, but it's definitely not the way it should be. So
yeah, we're working on it though. We're working on it.
Yeah, I mean, the more that people like figure out that they don't have to give their authority over to men by just not consenting to the control, then the more freedom you have. So regardless of what country I'm in, regardless of what leader's in charge, it doesn't change me. It doesn't change who I am, my creation, my connecting to the creator, my belief system. None of that's going to change regardless of where I am, because it's, I've gotten to that point. But I'm going to go ahead and throw in my disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Just Jack's disclaimer to the religious: if you believe it's wrong to study scripture outside of religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scriptures shouldn't be studied at all, then the stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, this stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for root words, as well as the context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There you go.
All right.
And just like, I'm going to throw in my, since we're having our own life experience discussion, Flattoberfest is coming up in a few months, and, I know there's some people that are complaining about it, and this is, Karen is not paying me to say this, by the way, but, I was there, I helped Karen set up the very first Flattoberfest, and number one, it's not free. We had a situation when the very first one went on that we actually had a fellow flat earther who had the place for us to get together. So that was an overhead cost that saved us lots of money. But even so, we had to pay to get people out there. We had to get, when I say pay for people to get out there, I mean like speakers flying in from other states, having them stay up at hotels and stuff like this. And it's not like we put them up in like some 5-star ritzy hotel. We just put, the local hotel, whatever. And it's like, there is a cost involved. You have to put forward so much money just to get the thing kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're covering yourself by charging a fee and then it comes back to you, who cares? It's an investment of getting a bunch of people that you can get like-minded individuals together where you don't have to worry about, the brainwashed zombies that we have to deal with all the time. And it's worth it. It's worth every cent. It's worth every minute. Everyone who goes always says, man, I wish this was longer. I would have paid anything to come here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I went to, this has nothing to do with Flattoberfest. This has another one, but the FEIC, Flat Earth International Conference, when I flew out to Colorado, I went for broke because I just needed that. I needed to get together with like-minded individuals because I felt alone. And I've had this situation, not with just the flat earth situation, but even the stuff that we're doing right now, studying scripture outside of religion, finding other like-minded individuals that'll do the same. It's worth it. And I'm not saying this so that Karen can get rich off of a conference, because not by any means does she get rich off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an experience that once you go, why these things have to happen. It's just a necessity. And just like Karen and I have said to many people before, when they said, well, we don't like how you do this, I would have done it this way, blah, 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 blah. We always say, well, good, put on a conference, we'll come. Right? You do it your way. You think you got it all figured out. You put it together and we'll show up there, no problem. There should be more conferences going on throughout the year with other options, other locations and whatnot. But I definitely don't like the mudslinging. If you don't want to come, don't come. I mean, you don't have to try to throw people under the bus just because, it doesn't seem valuable enough to you. If it doesn't, then don't come, and if it's like, if you're in a dire situation where it's a financial problem, talk to Karen. Maybe there's something you can work out. But to throw somebody under the bus because it costs money is just freaking ridiculous. I mean, I lost, and I'm not saying this because I'm looking for refund or anything, but I lost hundreds of dollars myself in the first Flattoberfest. Okay, I made zero money. Okay,
I didn't make any money the first Flattoberfest either.
But it was
ended up
worth
costing
it.
me
But
money, right?
yeah, but it was worth it to have that experience, to have everybody together. And we've, this is years later now, and they still talk about, man, that first Flattoberfest, when this whole thing kicked off, it was so awesome because we had, it needed to happen because the international conferences died, and there was almost, I think it was like 18 months or something like that since the last one. And we had heard there was never going to be a FEIC again, and it was very stressful to think we're never going to have this get together of people again. And it was fantastic, and I still get, years later, I'm still hearing about how awesome it was. And when that, like, oh yes, there's going to be someplace else we can go, All right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Grounded extracts. Wow. I can't believe that. I'm gonna, by the way,
you should give away everything for free. You should do everything for free.
Everything should be free. Why aren't you giving it to me for free?
And look, here's the thing, folks. If everything in the stores was free and gasoline was free and mortgages were free and all that stuff, then hey, we'll do that. Everything can be free. We're good with that.
I wish I was rich enough to do these things for free, to throw a big massive party and be like, don't worry about it, just show up. Like, I wish.
Yeah,
it would be fantastic, but
if we weren't in this slave system, if you could actually just find a location, that we could just, and Karen has talked about that too, where, what if we invested in a large property where we could have conferences there ourselves, which we could reduce the overhead costs, we could reduce the cost of hotel rentals and everything else, because we could have, camping areas and stuff, but it's dreaming, right? And that stuff costs money. So, it all goes together. But anyway.
Right. And it's like, and I don't clock in and clock out. Like I'm always doing stuff at like
Yeah.
weird hours.
Yeah, no
you
doubt.
know, you
Yeah,
know.
it's just like, people see me for an hour on Shabbat. They don't understand that all week long I'm translating the chapter. Like it takes me, a couple hours every day to put it all in. And then on the sixth day, the day of preparation, the day getting ready for Shabbat, I spend a lot more hours, sometimes a whole day of trying to wrap it up, wrap up the chapter. So, I mean, you don't see what goes on in the background of these things, like,
I know.
as smoothly as the last couple of conferences went. There was a lot of planning put into that, and at the last minute, excuse me, at the last minute, I know when we had that one at the Shriners Club a couple years ago, I know stuff was going wrong, and then it
Oh
all
yeah.
worked out at the last minute. So
Oh yeah, it's extremely stressful. Like when I have
yeah,
these events, it's so funny because I started doing these events because I wanted to go to them, right? I was like, there can't not be a major gathering. Like we have to have this, right? But
exactly.
then it's like I don't even when they have them, I'm working. I'm
Right,
literally working the whole time, and it's very
right,
stressful, but it's worth it. I love to
right.
see the results of it and watch everybody having a good time and laughing and hugging each other. Like that makes it worth it. All
Yeah,
right.
and you get a good couple hours out of it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say I don't have any fun because that would be a lie.
Yeah, a
But
couple
it
of hours out of the whole weekend though is not. I mean,
right.
everybody else gets the whole weekend of experience. I understand what you're saying. It's
Right, but if
definitely
things go wrong, it's like I'm snapping out of that happy mode real quick and I'm
exactly.
problem solving and then I go, okay, back to singing. It's just that's how it is.
Yeah. Bible says workman deserves a wage. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, look, there's an effort being put in, and there should be um, not, how do you say it? There should be just payment for just wages for just work. All right. Anyway, I mean, even if you charged minimum wage, if you consider the hours that you put in, you're definitely not making enough money. So,
Yeah. All right.
anyway,
Well, thanks for that, Jack. Well, we can move on to the study now, but I'll be addressing quite a few things on my coffee talk this Monday. I'm going to call it professional courtesy and what was the other part of it? No, I can't remember. Professional courtesy and something else. I'll remember it later. Anyway.
all right. If you want to pull up chapter 9 so you can review.
Okay.
Yeah, those things, those title heads above the chapters are not horrible to have. They kind of help you with
Yeah.
figuring out where you're at. But, of course, as we found out, sometimes there's agenda in the title itself. So be weary because, like, it would just be like if somebody was to read the chapter heads of a book and say they've read the book. You actually have to read it to see what it says. All right.
All right. So yeah, so the fifth plague, the Egyptian livestock die. And then the boils, that was like the it's like that like the what was it? Like the lye or like the ash went
Yep.
through the air
Yep.
and caused boils on skin.
Yep. And that kicked up out of the dust, and
Mhm.
then well, there were two different type of uh, one would be what we would call legions.
Mhm.
Whole divots in your arm or in your skin, and the other one would be more like what we would consider boils, but they're both translated boils. So,
Mhm. And
and then the
then
hail.
and then the hail, and then it almost looks like for a minute that the pharaoh starts to admit, right?
Yeah, I screwed up.
Yeah, but then turns around and it's like, oh.
Yeah, you guys can go out. Oh, never mind. Don't go out. Yeah, the thing that I also like to point out to people is, it's not just hail; it's fire hail. Like it, if you think about it, I think that it may kind of have similar features as the Sodom and Gomorrah.
That's what I was just wondering about. Do you think it had anything to do with the sulfur, the burning sulfur?
I think so, yeah. I think it was hail balls surrounding sulfur. So, ice encased chunks of sulfur, yeah.
Well, then how
That's
would
my
they?
assumption.
Well, how would they be on fire though? Then, if they were
Well, I mean,
in ice.
it's okay, so it takes a while for ice to melt, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you had uh I'm trying to put into practice in my mind how it would work, but I don't know for sure, right? But if you light ice on fire, it takes a while to melt, right? So if you have, sulfur and ice stuck together and it's flying towards the ground while it's lit, it'll still remain to be ice. But it doesn't necessarily say ice either. It actually says white spots, right? Is what hail is called. So if you go back to hail, like let's say verse 29 is where 33 there's hail also, but if you look where it says hail is white spot.
Okay.
So I mean it could have been straight sulfur for all we know, but we've seen it portrayed in many movies, which you can't trust movies on translating scripture.
No, you cannot.
But they often show regular hail, and then when it hit the ground, it was fire. It's weird stuff,
That is weird.
but that's some people's depiction of it. We also found out that this is the first, they're pointing out this agricultural information. Like, why does it matter that the flax and barley were struck? For the barley was not in the head, but aviv, which is mature, ready to be harvestable. And the flax was in the bud, but the wheat and the spelt were not struck, for they were late crops. In other words, they have not yet sprouted up, so they can't be destroyed. Okay?
Okay.
Because wheat is a later in the year crop. That is done for Shavuot.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, and that becomes very important later as far as the calendar goes, which we've addressed quite a few times on this channel. So,
All right. And so we end with Pharaoh with a hardened heart and not letting anybody go still.
yeah, after admitting that he sinned and yeah, all that stuff. All right.
All righty. Okay. Chapter 10. And Jehovah said to Moshe, Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, so that I show these signs of mine before him. And that you relate in the hearing of your son and your son's son what I have done in Mitzrayim, and my signs which I have done among them, and you shall know that I am Jehovah.
Okay, so not only what was done to them, but I've worked them over.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the middle there, the ayin lamed,
Mm-hmm.
to work over, mock, and abuse. It's not just work. Work is ayin lamed, but ayin lamed is to work them over. There's other verses in the scriptures that use this term to show like physical abuse, mocking, and all this other stuff. But basically, like, he worked them over. He laid the smack down on the Mitzrayim. So.
All right. And Moshe and Aaron came into Pharaoh, and said to him, Thus said Jehovah, Elohim of the Hebrews, till when shall you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go so that they serve me.
Okay, this humble yourself is translated sometimes as afflict your being, afflict your soul, blah, blah, blah. But it's the self-inspection type thing.
All right. Or else, if you refuse to let my people go, see, tomorrow I am bringing locusts within your borders.
And the locusts are the increasing. If anybody's ever seen the flocks of locusts,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, they come in huge droves, they devastate the
They eat
agriculture, and then they just take off to the next location.
Yeah.
So they're the increasing.
Yeah. And they shall cover the surface of the land so that no one is able to see the land, and they shall eat the rest of what has escaped, which remains to you from the hail, and they shall eat every tree which grows up for you out of the field.
Yep, that's a lot.
That sounds unpleasant.
Yes.
And they shall fill your houses, and the houses of all your servants, and the houses of all the Mitzrites, which neither your fathers nor your fathers' fathers have seen, since the day that they were on the earth to this day. Then he turned and went out from Pharaoh.
Yeah, they didn't have airtight, air-conditioned homes that they could keep the bugs out of.
Right. And Pharaoh's servants said to him, "Till when would this one be a snare to us? Let the men go, so that they serve Yehovah their Elohim. Do you not yet know that Mitzrayim is destroyed?"
Okay, so this is Pharaoh's servants, right? They're his right-hand men. They live in his court. They're like, we're almost devastated completely. You need to let these people go for real.
Right.
Yeah.
And Moshe and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, "Go serve Yehovah your Elohim. Who are the ones that are going?"
Okay, so this right here I find amusing. There has been multiple times where Pharaoh's like, yeah, you can go, but you can only let so-and-so go, or you can only go for 3 days, or you can only go for, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
And here he's giving them an opportunity. He's kind of like, he's trying to barter with them, right? Like, what if, just the men go? What if, what if you go for a couple days? Don't go too far away, that kind of thing.
Right.
So who's going?
Yeah. And Moshe said, "We are going with our young and our old, with our sons and our daughters, with our flocks and our herds. We are going, for we have a festival to Yehovah."
And festivals, Chag, which is the party time, spinning, encompassing. And the old right there is not old, but the bearded, the elders. And the young is referring to the Na'ar, which is the not yet adult. So.
Yeah. All right.
Doesn't matter much in English, but there's a lot of nuances in the Hebrew.
And he said to them, "Let Yehovah be with you, as I let you and your little ones go. Watch, for evil is before your face."
Okay. So this is Pharaoh speaking. I assume, I think, it appears to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Let Jehovah be with you." Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I find it funny that there are people who say that his name is not to be spoken, but in a few chapters back, the creator says, "I'm doing this so that they know who I am."
Right.
And now Pharaoh's saying, "Let Jehovah be with you, as I let you go, and watch out, because evil is before your face."
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Dysfunctioning, yeah.
"Not so. You men go now and serve Yehovah, for that is what you desired." And they were driven out from the presence of Pharaoh.
Okay, so he's like, if you go out, you got to watch out for your little ones. No, just the men go. It's so ridiculous. He's grasping at straws here. I'm still in charge here. I'm in charge.
Right. And Yehovah said to Moshe, "Stretch out your hand over the land of Mitzrayim, for the locusts to come upon the land of Mitzrayim and eat every plant of the land, all that the hail has left." And Moshe.
So now we're talking about the little stubs that are growing up, the little sprouts that are growing up.
Right. And Moshe stretched out his rod over the land of Mitzrayim, and Yehovah brought an east wind on the land all that day, and all that night morning came, and the east wind brought the locusts.
Yep, all that Yom and all that Lila. And the east Ruach.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Ruach is the moving, unseen existence, spirit, wind, breath.
Mm-hmm.
Characteristic.
And the locusts went up over the land, over all the land of Mitzrayim, and settled within all the borders of Mitzrayim, very grievous. There had never been locusts like them before, nor would there again be like them.
Right. And remember, Goshen is protected. Next door neighbor to Mitzrayim. Because Mitzrayim does not encompass the entire country. This is the quote-unquote city-state, the surrounding area of Pharaoh's, whatchamacallit, building, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that, like, I've heard people say, oh, he devastated, like, thousands of acres of land because they're thinking about Egypt as a country like today. And it wasn't. It was just a small city, you know, not small, but comparative it is,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
All right. Whoops, I skipped one. And they covered the surface of all the land, so that the land was darkened. And they ate every plant of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left, and no greenness was left on the trees or on the plants of the field in all the land of Mitzrayim.
And there's videos on YouTube too, if you like look up like locusts on YouTube, where yeah, it'll literally be daytime and then the locusts will fly over and it'll look like the sun had set.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how, you know, and it says it was even worse then than has ever been before or will be again. So
Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron in haste and said, I have sinned against Yehovah your Elohim and against you.
again.
Yeah. And now please forgive my sin only this once, and pray to Yehovah your Elohim that he would only turn away this death from me.
Just this one time. Like the last time. When
Right.
he stopped the
Like
hail.
which plague is this? Is like the 8th plague? It's like
Yeah.
the 8th time. All right.
Yeah, well, no, he didn't start getting apologetic until
Till like 7.
the boils and stuff. Yeah, the boils and the boils and the hail. Like he was starting to break down a little bit, and mainly not because of him, really. It was because of his servants, like begging him, like, please, you got to let these people go. You got to give up. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And he went out from Pharaoh and prayed to Yehovah. And Yehovah turned a very strong west wind, which took the locusts away and blew them into the sea of reeds. Not one locust was left within all the border of Mitzrayim.
Yeah, and the Sea of Reeds is important because it's translated. Go to KJV. Let me see what this specific one is translated as. That'll
The
work.
Red Sea.
Uh-huh. So that's problematic because there have been diving expeditions in the Reed Sea where they found coral in the shape of 90-degree angles and wheel spokes and stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
That prove that was the crossing location where the water consumed Pharaoh's army and the chariot wheels came off and all that jazz. But it's the Reed Sea, not the Red Sea.
Okay.
And if you think about it, like when it was being anglicized, when the Bible was being anglicized, English was not concrete. It wasn't established like this is the way you spell this and this is the way you spell it like that. Like if you read like old English books, there will be multiple different ways of spelling the same word because there was no established this is the way you spell that word. It was all phonetic, for lack of a better term. But this is reeds. Like it's the same word as when she puts Moses into a basket
Mm-hmm.
into an ark. Excuse me. Let me correct myself because we found that out.
Mm-hmm.
When she put Moses into an ark, she made it out of these reeds, these gathered, reeds.
Right. Okay. Alrighty.
20.
However, Yehovah strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not let the children of Israel go.
And that could be seized the heart of Pharaoh, by the way, also.
And Yehovah said to Moshe, "Stretch out your hand toward the heavens, and let there be darkness over the land of Mitzrayim, even a darkness which is felt." Oh.
Yeah. Also, spread hand on the Shemaim. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't necessarily mean toward the heavens. Okay? I'm just saying. That changes, like, if you think about spreading your hands out, you already have your hands on the Shemaim. I'm just saying, though.
Okay. Right?
In
You're
my
pretty much
perspective.
you're surrounded by it at all times.
Yes. That's my perspective. My perspective is Shemaim is the unseen existence all around us. It's
like the ether.
the magnetic frequency, vibration, electricity, the thing they call air particles, like all of that is Shemaim. So
like ether.
ether,
basically.
yeah. Ether was the. I mean that really is the description of Shemaim, even in philosophical statements.
Mm-hmm.
When they started trying to make it scientific, that's when it got really wonky because they're trying to make something that's etheric into something that's physical.
Because they're trying to measure it.
Right. They want to quantify it.
Science wants to measure everything, but not everything can be measured.
Exactly. They want to quantify it and make it a physical thing rather than a spiritual thing.
Or a metaphysical.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, metaphysical is a more proper term because even the word spiritual has been hijacked and twisted and perverted.
Right, exactly.
I mean, a majority of this realm is spiritual, if you want to use that term. It's like you said, metaphysical.
Yes.
So it depends on what frequency of vibration is, of what form it appears or manifests or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah, cool.
No, it's just right there, stretching your hand towards the heavens. You're obviously thinking he's trying to put his hands up as high as he can, but not necessarily. Literally, you could just stretch out your arms and you're already putting it on the Shemaim. And the word is on, not toward.
Mm-hmm.
Toward is the prefix of lamed. But it, toward Moshe, spreading hands, on the Shemaim. And let's see, we're toward. Yeah, see, even on isn't even there. Where is it? Unto is the one that is translated as toward, I think. It's hard to see. Go back to your interlinear. Why is there not Hebrew there?
Where?
Did you pick HSBR? There we go. Now we can see. Okay, so where it says to up there and Yehovah to Moses. Okay, so toward Moses. All right?
Mm-hmm.
And then stretch out thine hand toward, and that's not toward, that's on. If you, there you go. See on and above? Right below, like raise on above, right below work there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you put, like when you do work, you put your hands on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not toward the heaven.
Okay.
See?
Right. It's mostly talking about
it's
work.
On. Yeah. Doing the work, yeah. Putting your hands on it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. And it doesn't matter to most people, I'm sure. I'm sure some people are like, who cares? Move on. But it matters to me. Like, these nuances matter to me.
Yeah. It's interesting.
All right.
All right. And Moshe stretched out his hand toward the heavens, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Mitzrayim for 3 days.
And again, on the Shemaim.
Mm-hmm. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days, while all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings.
Okay, so.
That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just it was dark. It was
Right.
dark only around Pharaoh's house.
Right.
That a darkness you could feel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you've ever been in dark caves, like you just travel further and further and further down, you start to feel it.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't like caves because of that.
Yeah, caves are crazy.
I mean, if it's open caves where I could still see light, I'm good. But when it gets down to like darkness and the walls get closer and closer together, no, I'm not a fan.
I went into a cave one time when I was younger. It was like somewhere in California, and they tell you, they're like, okay, everybody grab the railing and hold on to the railing. We're going to turn the lights off and show you how quickly you become disoriented when there's no light in the cave, because there's literally no natural light getting in there. So they turn the lights off, and like just in a few seconds, you're like, whoa,
yeah, you
like,
feel
what?
it. Yeah, you feel the darkness. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, so when it says that nobody moved from their place, I believe it, because you can't make heads or tails of up or down or which way is what when you're in complete darkness. You don't know anything.
Yeah, your eyes do a lot more than just see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your eyes give you orientation.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And Pharaoh called to Moshe and said, "Go serve Yehovah. Only leave your flocks and your herds behind. Let your little ones go with you too."
Before he's like, don't let your little ones go because, it can only be dysfunctional for you.
Right.
So only the men go. You can take your little ones, but leave the animals.
Yeah. He keeps losing a little bit more, huh?
Yep.
But Moshe said, "You yourself are to provide us with slaughterings and ascending offerings to prepare for Yehovah our Elohim."
Okay, now why is this? Because the Israelites were given the responsibility of being the shepherds in Egypt because it was a blasphemous thing to maintain animals. But when Joseph became second in command, when he saved Egypt from destruction of famine, then they were given the responsibility to be Pharaoh's shepherds, basically. They took care of the livestock. Mm-hmm. And their livestock was different than the sacrifices that Egypt would have made. So the offerings that were made by Egypt were considered unclean by Yehovah, and the livestock that they were raising were what was considered, for lack of a better word, clean, for eating and for sacrificing to Yah.
All right.
26.
"And our livestock are to go with us too. Not a hoof is to be left behind, for we have to take some of them to serve Yehovah our Elohim, and we ourselves do not know with what we are to serve Yehovah until we come there." However, Yehovah strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he would not let them go.
Right, and just, sorry, they're on a speakerphone out there, so I had to mute it for a second. The hoof is actually split hoof. It actually means to divide. So there is another word for hoof that doesn't have the division in it. It's just the word hoof. But this is specific split hoof. Split hoof is one of the necessities for it being a clean animal. It has to have a split hoof and chew the cud. Yeah, if you go there, it even talks about split dividing hoof. other than hoofs too. Mm-hmm. To spread apart in the sense of splitting, to split into two, Mm-hmm. Hoof as split, spreading in the sense of splitting, right? So it's not just a hoof, it's a split hoof. It's specific.
Okay. However, Yehovah strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he would not let them go.
And again, it could be seize the heart of Pharaoh.
And Pharaoh said to him, "Get away from me, watch yourself, and see my face no more, for in the day you see my face, you die."
So he's like, get out of town.
Right.
Leave the animals, get out of town.
And Moshe
Which is funny because he calls them back again, but it's not in this chapter, so.
And Moshe said, "You have spoken rightly. Never again do I see your face."
Yeah, exactly. We're out of here. So, yeah, I mean, this guy's digging in. Why? Because he considers himself deity, and he's being humbled right now, right? He's having a lot of self-inspection. How much power do I actually have? Maybe I could, let the men go and save the children. Maybe I can let the children go, save the flocks, the animals. But think about, again, the free land that we live in right now, where they're like, oh, you're complaining too much? Well, let us give you a little bit of this, right? They don't give you complete freedom, but they'll give you a little bit. Like, they'll take a whole bunch, and then they'll re-release it to you again.
Right.
Right? Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to hit go through the chat here. I don't even know which chat I'm looking at because they don't actually say the name of the channel on top.
Okay, well, if the last one says "Good Times for All," that would be the Unveiling This Realm chat. And if the last person you see is Nightbot on the other one, Nightbot is in my main chat. So if you see Nightbot in there, that's my main chat. How about that?
Of
Karen B. Karen B channel.
Karen B. No. Good Times for All is in Karen B, right? That's what you're saying?
No, he's in the other one.
Oh, okay. Unveiling This Realm is the chat that you're using in there, in Karen B.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, confusing. Anyway, High Valley Park, Spicy Sarah, Brian Stavely, Jellyhead, Michael O'Rourke, J.M. Grassi. Excuse me for a second. Lab Kung Fu Shaolin, Awesome Austin, how you doing, brother? FE Nation, I think I said Spicy Sarah already.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Javier, Christophe Fournier, and let's see, Manny Silver, Indigo Day, Grounded Extracts, and I think that's everybody in here. Isabella, Annie D. Just when I think I have them all. Jonathan Kapala. Every time I see that, Kampala, I always think it's Campanella. It's weird in my head. Daryl Davis, Jason Starr, Marcia Wirtz, Tom. God has never written anything. Actually, God's on your dollar bill, so. All right. Yes, basket does slip off the tongue. Jay and William, who was awoken. And Critical Inception. Hey, brother. Good to see you, man. All right, the other chat. Sherry Ives. Brian Stavely again. Rethink Inc. Robbie Turbo. Brian Parker. How you doing, man? Jason Starr again. All right. And F-Warp World. All right. So it appears that most of the chat is over in Karen B again. All right. So let's go through here real quick and see if there was a question or a comment that we should focus on. They suck. Oh, sorry. Talking about people who think that you shouldn't have to pay for anything. Like, oh, you make organic treatments free.
I saw somebody posting on ODD's channel. Why did you you lost me, bro, when you started a channel on a platform that wants you to pay. The truth should be free, man. I don't understand, blah blah blah. And I'm like, and I commented, I'm like, do you think it's free for him to buy the machines, to do the work, to pay for the internet, to do to spend the time to put that together? For you.
Speaking of that, how are they watching any channel? Are they paying for their internet?
Right. I'm like, you know what? The truth, nothing is fucking free. Excuse
That's
me.
right.
Nothing is free because even if you do go and seek out truth on your own, you spent time. You spent your time in exchange for that knowledge, that information. That's why I like to say that time is your most valuable commodity, your precious time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like to
Everybody
waste
gets the
my
same
time.
amount.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the same amount of time. Plain Decoded. Jeff Benner is definitely someone who I read and study. Like, he's the one who has helped me a lot into getting into the ancient Hebrew. But I have not read Zen and Physics, but I'll check that out and see if it kind of fits with my perspective on translation. Because if it does, that's just going to blow my mind even further. It's amazing how so many people come to the same conclusions when they get out of religion, right? It's not like I was taught by any pastor dude of what these words mean. It's just I look at them as they're displayed throughout the scriptures. Calendar, months, days, years, fake AF. Yes. Yeah, a month is 29.5374 days, which is a lunar cycle. It's not even actually counting days, right? It's actually counting, okay, there's another cycle of the moon. There's another month. So counting days is not even a thing. How about when it was unveiling this realm show on the Dose of Reality show mirrored on Brian Staveley 3 the following day? Okay, I don't know what that was about, but that's an interesting conversation. All right.
Valley Park says the truth isn't free, but it will set you free. That's right.
Agreed.
But you got to work for it in some way, shape, or form. You have to exchange energy for energy somehow. Either that energy is going to be you yourself putting in the time and effort to go find the information that you're looking for, or you can rely on somebody else to give you that information. But, maybe they deserve some of that energy too, because they spent the time and energy to go find that stuff to help you.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, whatever. Most people don't even ask for money for stuff anyway. All my stuff is free, is available to find free somewhere.
All right, so I'll have to reiterate this probably a million times for people to get it, and that's fine. I'm used to doing it. God is the deity of prosperity of Babylon. The name God has to do with worshiping money and prosperity, riches. The creator's name is Yehovah or Yahuwah in some dialect, or Yah in the short form. They replaced it with God in the Roman Catholic Church and other anglicized religion because they love the money, And as far as money being necessary, even Yeshua, aka known as Jesus, they had income that there was money handler in the group, so they didn't have anything for free. In fact, often he said, I don't even know where I'm going to lay my home tonight, but you're welcome to follow me. Shows at the creator that we are serious about him when we search for the truth. Indeed. Yeah. And that's something that's one thing I've not changed my perspective on through all the transitions, is that I really believe that the creator is it's something that can be sought out regardless of your upbringing, regardless of the religion you were brought up in, regardless of the location you lived in. If you're truly seeking the creator of all things, he will reveal himself to you in one way or another. And he will also reveal to you what is functional and what is dysfunctional. There you go. Will work for weed and truth. Yeah. That works for a little while, but you definitely can't survive off that.
Yeah.
That'll work for, maybe a week. I have written down an excerpt from that book. I think it fits with your interpretation of Scripture. The Messiah was more of a Buddha than a Christian. Shocking stuff. Yeah. Yeah. John was not a Baptist. Luther was not a Lutheran. Jesus was not a Christian. Like, what? Like everything that they profess is absolutely not true. So, as far as religion goes, but yeah, he was someone that was tapped into the Creator. He was. Yeah, my email is justjackflatearth@gmail.com. No spaces, no caps. JustJackFlateArth.
Yeah, links in the description for all that stuff too, if you guys want.
Yeah, so he was the begotten son of Yah, and it says that he didn't even begin his quote unquote ministry until he went and was baptized first. Baptized is a cleansing of the past. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with an initiation into a religion, or it doesn't do anything magical. However, when you have your intent and you think about being born again through the water, hello, how are we born?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you put that mindset on and you put your intent into that, it is like a rebirthing. And then when that happened, it said that the Ruach descended on Yeshua like a dove, not as a dove. And then that spirit of the Creator led him into the wilderness to be tempted. It wasn't an evil thing that led him into the wilderness to be tempted. Okay, so everything changes when you get the perspective of what these things are, to where, yeah, it's less of a God becoming a man as much as it is a man tapping into the Creator. All right. The musician Jonathan Goodman does sounds to the characters Yod He Shin Vav He. I don't know. It should be Vav Ayin, not Vav He, unless it's mixing. It's weird. That's like a mixture of the Creator and Yeshua together. It might be Yod He Shin Vav Ayin you're speaking of, because that's how you spell Yeshua, or Yahusha, or Yahushai, or however different people pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a sweat lodge. That's also being born of water.
Mm-hmm. I still would love to build a sweat hut.
Yeah, I mean, detoxing is always good.
Right down there by the creek, and then everybody runs out of the sweat hut, jumps in the creek.
Gets rebaptized after the sweat baptism.
Oh, it'd be great.
Yeah, and dude, a perfect day for that would be on Yom HaKippurim, the day of self-inspection. That would be amazing. Like, because I don't sleep for 24 hours. I don't eat or drink for 24 hours. Imagine doing sweating on top of that.
Oh, wow.
I would be in a completely different state when I was done, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
All babies born pure for mother's watery womb. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, Robbie Turbo, you're correct. That's a mikvah. It's not a baptism. That's just what it's been translated to. But yeah, yeah, my email's in the contacts, and I'm also available to do one-on-one chats. And I would prefer a donation, just because I'm nothing's free, and whenever somebody calls me, ask anybody who's ever talked to me. There's never a 10-minute conversation with me. It's always hours. Always.
Yeah, pig is split, but Bible says pig is unclean for you.
Yes, it actually tells you a pig is not clean, because even though its hoof is split, it does not chew the cud. It's not a grass eater. It doesn't have multi-chambered stomach. I saw up there somewhere in the chat that a goat has a split hoof. Yes, a goat is clean. You can eat a goat.
And goat tastes good too, by the way. I don't know if anybody here's tried it, but goat is not bad.
Yeah, it's really good, actually. I like it. Born again is being resurrected. Yeah, that's another thing. Like back in the day, before Judaism like got super, how can I put it? Super organized the way it is now. Back in the day, in the first century, there's documentations that when they would mikvah to get ready for the Moedim, the appointed times, that when you came up out of the water, everybody would shout, "Born again." So that's not a New Testament thing. They were doing that practice during the time of Yeshua, right? So
Right.
they were already being born again without Jesus involved, okay? I'm just saying. Oh, sorry, I heard the CD a while back. Okay, yeah. It's probably, yeah. It depends. It could be Yod He Vav He or Yod He Vav Shin Ayin. So it's one of the two. But Pakistani restaurants eat the goat. Yeah. There's a lot of places that eat goat, actually. All right. Oh, here's something. Believing in, he put YHWH, so I imagine he pronounces it Yahuwah. Believing in Yahuwah and believing Yahuwah are two different things. Yeah, that's another thing. Like even in the believing in Jesus, right? Like being a Christian is about believing in Jesus. Like they have to believe that Jesus was born, lived, died, resurrected, blah, 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 blah. That's believing in Jesus, right? But there was a time when Yeshua went to his hometown and he rejected his brothers, and he says, "Who's my brothers but those who do the will of the Father," right? Not who do my will, but who do the will of the Father, the Creator. And it says, because his brothers had not yet believed in him. Now, his brothers grew up in him. They actually believed he existed. Right? So believing in him is not about believing that Jesus existed. It's just believe what he taught, believe how he lived, you know.
Right.
Which Christians do the exact opposite of that. So, my goats are my pets. All right?
I wouldn't mind having pet goats too. I actually would like to have some goats so they could eat down some of this jungle.
Indeed. They're good lawnmowers. High in protein, low in fat, high in iron.
Precisely.
So Robbie Turbo, Messiah fished to pay his taxes. Yeah, people miss that story. I don't think it's even taught in churches. I found about that later, where he actually pulled a fish out of the water and it had a coin in its mouth to pay the taxes. That was pretty funny. Yeah, Robbie Turbo seems to have gone down some of my similar rabbit trails. So, okay. What does death got to do with light, light and darkness, cows and sheep eat grass, which is living? Okay. Wonder how mountain lion tastes? Well, if you want to be functional, you won't eat it to find out. I would like to try giraffe because that's the biggest clean animal there is. I would love to eat some giraffe. See what that tastes like.
I'm pretty sure I saw something where
and
there
then,
was a...
And then people spiral in the chat. How dare you? How dare you?
It's huge, and it eats them leaves up high off the tree. It probably has an interesting tasting meat.
Clean leaves, man. Way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you it tastes pretty cool. I had ostrich just a couple months ago. It's a purple meat. It's interesting.
Purple, really? Interesting.
We met at Flattoberfest. You told me out conversation. Oh, it's probably a typo. Our conversation blessed you. Yeah. Okay, yeah, cool. I've never heard of people eating giraffe. Yeah, it's a thing.
People eat all kinds of animals, horses.
Sorry, I'm lingering. I missed the the chit chat. It's been a minute. Unicorns, delicious. No, unicorns don't have a split hoof. Unless they're unicorn cows. Nope, can't eat kangaroo.
Why can't you eat kangaroo?
No split hoof. No multi-chamber stomach.
Well, rabbits don't have a split hoof. Chickens don't have a split hoof.
Okay, so chickens are in the flyers category, and rabbits are less. Dude, let's go there. Leviticus chapter 11, I believe.
Okay. I'm curious what the distinction is.
Because it's funny, you're calling out the things that are actually specifically mentioned.
Leviticus what now?
Chapter 11, I believe.
Okay.
It's 11 or 12. Yep, there it is. All right. Let's see. Leviticus 11:5 for you.
And the rabbit, because it chews the cud but does not have a split hoof, it is unclean to you.
Boom shaka.
So rabbits
There it
are
is.
unclean?
That's it. It's like saying dogs are unclean for you, cats are unclean for you, you know. Anything with paws are unclean for you.
The pig, though it has a split hoof completely divided, does not chew the cud, is unclean.
Yeah, you can read through the whole thing if you want to.
The flesh you do not. Their flesh
When we
you
were-
do not eat any of.
When we were over at Spicy
Pig.
Sarah's, I asked Dr. Law what kind of fish he was serving, and he says, "Don't worry, it has scales." Okay, thank you. Thanks, man.
Huh.
So yeah, sea animals have to have fins and scales, and right there, see how it says ostrich is unclean to you? Go to the translation and change it to KJV and see if it says ostrich.
And the night hawk, the cuckow, and the hawk.
You see the word owl there at all?
Yeah, it says and the owl.
Do you see ostrich there?
No.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and click those two numbers there, because this is the one that was changed into ostrich.
Build 10.
So this is Ben. Yeah, change it to HRSB, please, in the translation. I don't know which one this is.
HSBR.
Yeah, that one. All right, so ostrich right there. Bot, which is not Ben, but daughter. Okay, so that's the word you want to translate there. Hyena.
Well, this, yeah. So, and the ostrich. So this says watch eye, watch furrow.
Yeah, it has the word eye in it. Right? So this is a being that eyes are specifics of this bird.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look up this word throughout the scriptures, it mentions something that is screeching, and that is a hunter.
Here it says
Yeah,
owl.
see, a bird that an owl that a bird that watches, exactly. So why did the scriptures choose to put ostrich there? I have no idea. Don't like that translation, and I ate ostrich in spite of it. Okay, now here's something that's going to really make people scratch their head in the way that I interpret things. These winged animals are not just winged animals. These are called the flyers. So included in that are bats. Okay. Now bats are very not similar to birds in that they don't have feathers, right? They have fur and skin and that kind of thing. But
well, this is calling out the bat, saying the bat is
unclean. Yeah.
right.
But that's what I'm saying is when you look at the flyers, these are flyers. Okay. These are not winged animals. These are not feathered animals. These are flyers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the ostrich, is the ostrich a flyer?
Mm-mm.
No, it's a land animal. The interesting thing is, and do this pattern if you wish to look at my perspective. Look up on Google or whatever search engine you want, in images, look up bird foot bones. Okay? And you're always going to see the same thing. The 3 to 4 finger talon type bone structure, right? The little itty bitty little tiny little bone structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then look up the bones of a cow foot. Then look up the bones of an ostrich foot. The ostrich foot and the cow foot are indistinguishable because it has a split hoof. Also, the ostrich has a multi-chambered stomach and it chews cud. So I don't even put ostrich in the bird category. It's not a flyer. It's a land animal to me. Yes, grasshoppers are clean.
Oh, if you look at
Grasshoppers,
ostrich
locusts,
foot, they're so weird looking.
yeah, but look at a cow's foot bones. It looks exactly the same.
Some of them have 2 toes and some of them have 3 toes.
Of the ostrich?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about the back toe? Or
Well, I
back?
just searched ostrich foot. And some
There's
of these
3-toed
pictures have
ostrich?
3 toes and some pictures have 2 toes. So I'm wondering if is that right? God, their feet are horrid looking.
Yeah, they're not pretty. By any means. I'm only seeing 2 toes.
Yeah, most of the pictures have 2 toes, but then I see... What
Well,
is this
that's
3-toed shit that is
that's an
showing up?
atypical something or other. I don't know.
Hmm.
But you can see most of them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them have 2 toes split at one connector, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at a cow's foot, it's exactly the same. And a bird's foot is completely different. The whole structure, the whole connector, everything's different about a bird foot compared to an ostrich foot. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they're different. Birds and ostriches are different.
It's definitely weird looking.
So that's Jack's, cassowary. Is that the one with 3 toes? Where it says cassowary, I like birds?
I don't know.
I just found one with 3.
That's probably what it is. They're probably mixing the two.
And then there's one that says Struth Mimus composite foot. So, like, they don't actually have the foot. They put some bones together and figure that's what the foot looked like. So that doesn't even have anything to do with an ostrich. So, An emu, I might be skeptical about because it's got 3. But it is different than the disjointed foot. Yeah, we definitely went off subject here.
Yeah, we did. Sorry about that.
Eagles, owls, ravens and crows have different feet bones. They have different feet bones than the ostrich? Yes. Absolutely. Does not have a split hoof. It actually has toes, talons, whatever you want to call it. Talon birds are typically, quote unquote, unclean, right? Typically not functional for your physiology, whether it be spiritual or physical. Because I think it doesn't just affect, I think your diet does not just affect your physical. I think it actually affects your spiritual as well. So that's just Jack's perspective. Because, I mean, think about it. Sometimes when you eat something, you just don't feel like you get lethargic, let's say, or some foods like put you in a good mood, right? Like it energizes you. I think it messes with more than just your physical being.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't eat any moles or mouses. Sorry, Karen.
Or tortoise.
Yeah, I know that you're like missing eating moles and mouses, but
Right.
sorry. Sorry, no bats, Karen. You're not allowed.
And the gecko and the land crocodile and sand reptile and the sand lizard and the chameleon. All unclean.
Yep.
And whatever any of them in its dead state falls upon becomes unclean. So anything that touches it.
Yep. Well, I mean, if you look, there's different procedures. Like if it's something that's washable, you wash it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not washable, you throw it away. Like if there's something very porous, you smash it. Like an earthen pot that has a lot of pores.
Mm-hmm.
If the unclean animal dies and you find the dead thing inside of it or on it,
I wonder
you
if
smash that
these
shit.
particular things have more parasites too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about every unclean animal, they're typically the janitors of the earth, if you will.
Right, they're the cleaners. They clean
Yep.
up the crap.
Yep. They eat what nobody else will. So.
All right. Well, there you go.
There you go.
All right, everybody. I guess that's it. Thank you.
Oh,
What?
Wuhan Happy Meal's off limits. I would say all McDonald's is off limits, y'all.
Yeah, you might be eating people.
It's crazy. All right.
You could be committing cannibalism if you go eat at those places.
And you're definitely admittedly eating horse at Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to warn my friends who came over on Shabbat, but I figured they'll figure it out eventually. But sorry, I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. All right. Anyway, y'all, Shabbat Shalom.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Thanks once again for joining me and Just Jack for Anti-Religious Scripture Study, and we hope that you will join us again next Strengthened. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.